Happy Halloween from Media Tsunami Network, and today we're going to be talking about slasher movies, and we're being very liberal with that categorization because there's a lot of stuff we didn't really know how to categorize. So go ahead, and Holly, what's your favorite slasher movie?
Ooh, start me out. Okay. I really like The Strangers. It is by far the scariest movie I have ever seen because it could actually happen. It's one of those things where people just randomly show up at a house that these two people are at, and they're trying to work some stuff out in their marriage, so they're at odds with each other, and then all of a sudden these people just like knock on their door, and
What, they've heard the good news of Jesus Christ?
sure.
No? Okay.
With the
That's not what
pointy
they
end
were
of a
there
knife. No, but throughout the movie, like it gets creepier and creepier because you see people, they have masks on, number one, and people, you can't see their face. It always freaks me out. But husband. There's this one scene where Liv Tyler's character, I can't remember her name right now, but she's standing in the kitchen. She just poured herself a glass of water. She's standing at the counter, both hands on the counter, and behind her is like the dining room, and it's dark in the dining room. She has the kitchen light on, and you just see this guy walk out just enough that you know he's there, and she never even sees him, but you see he's still got the like mask on, and he's like just standing there watching her, and that creeps me out to no end. Like, I kind of want to turn around right now and make sure no one's behind me. But I think that's scary just because it could happen. Like, people are crazy. People could do that. So scary.
That's the thing I love about that movie is that I'm not a big fan of the jump scares. I think the ones that stay with you and send you home creeped out are the ones that do the creepy stuff. And like that, where they kept showing up in the background, you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? Turn around!
And then they just fade back into the darkness, and then you're like, but he's there.
Somewhere. Could be anywhere. Yeah. That's the best.
Makes you go home and turn all your lights on, check out your closets, and okay.
Well, it's like when you see a spider, you're like, oh, I'll get that later. And then you come back, it's not there, and you're like, burn the house down. Like, where is it? Like, it's kind of like that feeling, but like 10 times worse because it's someone wanting to
Fire is how I solve all my problems.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the first time I watched that movie was at a friend's house that lived out in the country, which was even made it even scarier. So we like turned off all the lights and watched that one, and we're like, we're out here in the country where people could literally just walk up and do what's going on in this movie. So that actually added to the fear factor of that movie for me. So
okay. I'm hopping off what you say right here to go with my favorite slasher of all time, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We're all Texans.
Yeah.
Right? And so that resonated with me growing up, and it was a long time before I ever watched the real thing. But I always remembered, like, I was fascinated by horror. I'd always go to even though my parents wouldn't let me watch any of it, I'd go to the library. I'd check out books on horror all the time, especially the classic Universal movie monsters and stuff, and I always read those books. I check them out over and over again. But I get my dad to basically lay out the plot line and tell me the story of Texas Chainsaw Massacre over and over again. And so, like what you're talking about, being out in the country, it was my first year at Lubbock going to Tech. And then with the movie, the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre just came out, and they have out there the drive-in theater, which is out in the middle of the country, just wide open spaces. That added such a great extra element to that. Just being out there in the middle of nowhere, and you seeing all these fields around you, and you're like,
who's hiding out?
Yeah. It was great.
Oh, kind of going, just to kind of piggyback off yours with leather masked vigilante scary people. My personal favorite's Halloween, the original one, John Carpenter. Oh man, that guy's a genius with horror movies. There's several that we'll probably mention tonight, but I don't know what it is. It's like at least in the original one, I think as far as I know, he's still human. Like there's nothing really supernatural about him until like the series progresses, and he's just terrifying. Like he doesn't make any noises, nothing. Like they attack him. I think he gets shot at a couple times and nothing, like doesn't flinch, nothing, just keeps going after him. And that dang Captain Kirk mask.
That's what makes it so creepy.
Yeah.
It's Kirk.
Yeah.
That was another one that did great. Like what Holly was talking about with the strangers was. I feel like that may have been one of the first ones to kind of do it, because as that movie built to the climax where like he's actually trying to kill him, he kept being seen in the background.
Yeah.
Like watching. He'd step out from behind the bushes, she'd notice, and then her friends would look back and there's nothing there. And then, or like she'd see him out the window or doing the laundry or whatever, and she'd catch glimpses and see him, and
he was doing
and
the
he's
laundry?
gone. Yes, he was doing laundry.
Oh, okay. Come wash that mask.
Michael Myers does the laundry.
Dirty now.
In that movie, like she catches the eye, but in The Strangers, it's more the audience sees it, and you're like, I want to tell this character.
Yeah.
But there's someone behind her.
That's
Like
true.
So
that's even because you as an audience member know something is going to happen eventually, and the character doesn't, and you're like, it builds tension and makes your blood pressure go up. So
kind of what really kind of weirds me out and kind of adds, I think, to the movies, like Strangers, Halloween, is there's no seeming motivation behind the villain. Like, I guess Michael got really ticked off watching his older sister brush her hair and was like, I'm gonna start killing people. But I mean, other than that, like, there's really no motivation behind why he does what he does. So I think that kind of adds to the creep factor there.
Yeah, because that's a realistic thing. Some people, they just go off and they do things and you have no idea why they're doing them, but you know, they go out and kill a bunch of people, and it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, for no reason. So.
And do you think, like, you're talking about how him being like he was human in the first one?
Yeah.
And they go like the supernatural, he just can't be killed.
Yeah.
I think the whole reasoning behind that is nothing more, any deeper than we want sequels.
Yeah.
I think that's
gonna cash in. Good.
milk that cow.
Yeah. Might as well. So. What about you, Scott?
Favorite slasher movie? So maybe not like not quite as on the terrifying side of things, but just for the pure brilliance that I really enjoyed it was the movie Identity. I really like that movie. It's just such a mind warp as you're watching the whole thing. You don't know who the bad guy is or what's going on, so I don't really want to spoil it, but you know, for those who haven't seen it, but it should definitely be watched, because from start to finish you have no idea what's going on. People are dying all around. You know, these people that they end up at a hotel all together, and people just start dying off, and you don't know who's killing them or what's going on. So I love the suspense factor of not knowing who's doing what, and you don't know who the killer is, and so it's not quite as scary, but just the whole what it takes you through, you know, in your mind, you don't know what's going on, and it's just a great movie. So
classic whodunit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I don't think we could really justify a slasher episode without mentioning some of the great ones, like Nightmare on Elm Street, probably one of the originals.
Freddy was always my favorite horror movie character, because he had that dark humor, and of course I like the wit, I like the humor that goes along with it. Not so much in the first one. He started developing a little bit in the second one, and then from there on it kind of just went overboard. But I like that bit about him, and I just thought he was cool. The glove with the claws and everything. He's going to be at this convention next May.
Cool.
So I'm going to try and get something cool signed by him.
Robert Englund?
Yeah, Robert Englund.
Awesome. So, plus in that movie you get to watch Johnny Depp drown in a waterbed. That's kind of terrifying. Yeah. But have you watched most of the movies in that series?
I've watched all of them. I have all of them, yeah.
Did you like Wes Craven's New Nightmare? Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of a nifty spin for a horror movie, because have either one of y'all seen that one?
No.
It's basically the cast of the original Nightmare on Elm Street is basically being haunted by Freddy.
How meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's Robert Englund. He's screwing with everybody. And I know, like, one scene they call him, and he's like, I don't have a clue what you're talking about, but it's happening to me too. And so it's like, what? Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing for them to do. I don't think I've seen that really in any other film.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I watched that and I would just put my hands in my head.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's just kind of a fun idea. So
it was.
So another slasher movie that I like that's kind of on the cheesy side, like you were talking about with Nightmare, Scream. I love the Scream franchise. Like it was probably my first, like, because it came out in the 90s. I was in high school in the 90s. late 90s. So it was like probably one of the first scary movies that I actually got to go to the movie theater to see. And it was hilarious and scary. I mean, it had like all the jump scares and but it was funny too. And I am a huge Friends fan, and Courtney Cox was a huge draw for me there. But that movie, like, I like it just because it's so. It's almost like a modern day B horror movie, and I like that. I like the cheese. I like it. It was great. I liked it.
It's self-aware too. It was like one of the horror movies that like it was laying out the tropes and the stuff of horror movies. Like, this is what you don't do in a horror movie. But all-time classic of the horror movies, or not horror movies, of the slasher movies, you got to go with when you're talking about the genre. So you know what I'm heading towards.
If you say anything but Friday the 13th, I'm going to be a little sad.
I am saying the pre-Friday the 13th.
Oh.
Like pre-Friday the 13th. Talking 60s here.
What are you going after?
Psycho.
Oh,
Of course. Yeah.
It's slasher. I mean, he says he stabs her.
It's the first one, but that's not the only kill in the movie.
Yeah,
No.
that's true. So.
And if you haven't seen that, the twist of that one, that's great.
Yeah.
There was another one that came out slightly before it. It was weird how they did it. A lot of the kills were done in like a first-person view, and it was one of the first movies to do that. It came out just before Psycho, and it was I think it was called 35 millimeter.
I've heard of it.
I think it was something. It's called something like that. I'm gonna look it up, and I'll probably post it up there what it actually was. But it was so like I had never heard of it. Like, because Psycho gets all the attention as being the first one. This one came out slightly before it, and it just did stuff that you never saw with movies like at that time. That first-person view, like they did with Halloween, like when Michael Myers put on the clown mask, and you showed it through his eyes and everything. And which Friday the 13th, which we can bleed into here, they did a lot of that too. I liked how they would do it from Jason's point of view, or in the first one, spoiler, the mother was like looking at and observing everybody from the woods and everything. So.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of summer camps because of that movie. So, if there's anything I've learned from it, it's that abstinence is key, and watch your students while they're swimming. So, moral lessons to be gained from slasher movies. What I think is kind of fun about that series is that, like you already pointed out, Jason's the iconic villain, but he's not even the bad guy from the first movie. And even as the first couple of movies progress, like, I think he gets his hockey mask in the second movie he's got like a bag.
He has
potato
like
sack or something. Yeah, it's kind of silly.
With one hole.
But and he doesn't get like his trademark ski mask and machete until like the third film. Yeah. So like it kind of builds up. And it also kind of bugs me a little bit. The fourth movie is called The Final Chapter, and then there are like 8 more after it. So
well, it was that one. The way that one ended, and like with you remember the final kill on that one, where Jason falls down on the machete and his head like slides down the blade, and his eyeballs like bulging on there. I love that, but like after that point, like you think he's got to be dead. He just had a machete through his head.
Yeah, but what else? Like, he's been sunk to the bottom of the lake once or twice. There's even
sunk to the bottom.
Countless times.
There's even one movie I actually kind of like. He faces off against some psychic chick.
That's the 7th one.
Yeah,
actually one of my favorites.
I like that one. Yeah,
I think that was the first one with Kane Hodder, who's regarded usually as the best of the Jasons. And I think the makeup job on him was the best. Like when he comes walking out of the water, and his shirt's all torn up, and you can see his spine like out of the back of his. I thought like the makeup job and that was the coolest that Jason ever looked.
Oh, okay. So you liked him for his looks and not for his extensive dialogue.
His dialogue was great. It was certainly well written. That's for sure.
Grunts.
Yeah.
So, and another thing you can take from that movie is that no matter how fast you run, it doesn't matter. Like you could see him off, like taking a smoke break. He's gonna catch you anyway.
Yeah, his walk speed is just he'll catch you. Don't worry about it.
He knows literally every shortcut around the area. You run around, snap, there he is. So. Another thing about those films that kind of bugs me, But it's kind of a twist too. The only character to survive the first movie is the first one to die in the second movie. And so it's like, you survived a movie, you should have immunity. But no. And I think, if I'm not mistaken too, it's like the classic, I'm gonna open the fridge, oh, there's nothing here, I was jump scared for nothing, shut the fridge, oh gosh, there he is! Like, it's heart race thinking about it. So,
you guys got anything else to throw on the table?
I don't think so.
I don't know if this quite counts as a slasher, but I think it should. The Saw films.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You guys watched any of those?
I think we have to throw that in there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
call it
Those
slasher.
are
Yeah.
cringeworthy.
Oh.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and Hostel we could go in there too.
Yeah.
Hostel's like,
So I've never seen Hostel.
I haven't either.
I've seen the first two.
But I know
there's the third one.
The Saw movies aren't so much scary as just like really gruesome.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it like just really gets to you in that manner. They try and like just kind of gross you out enough that you're like, whoa, this is too much.
I
So
can't do it.
I've actually only seen the first 3 Saw movies. The third one was a little silly for me, and so I kind of gave up after that. But I really liked the first 2.
I'm pretty sure at some point in time I've seen all of them.
The twists, again, no spoilers here, but the twists at the end of the first and the second films, I was like, that's awesome. And it made me really like the movies, but the third one, it just kind of got a little silly.
Speaking of the Saw series, it has some great deaths and maiming of people, and really that's what the whole thing's about. What are some of your favorite slasher death scenes?
Most of the ones I can think of probably come from that series. Like I'm kind of blanking on some of the older Halloween ones. I think in the first one he just kind of gets shot and they're like, oh, he's done.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Saw films, one that particularly sticks out to me is, I think it's from the first one, she has the bear trap thing on her
Yeah.
face that if she doesn't get the key out of the guy to
Open them out.
But she didn't get killed.
But she didn't actually
Yeah,
kill
she
them.
didn't
Oh,
get killed.
sorry, that's a spoiler.
Yeah.
No, that actually,
Yeah.
so that actually happens to someone, I believe, in the second movie that they put the
Yeah.
bear trap on him, and there it actually
Yeah.
hits them, and that's the one that's really gruesome, because
Yeah.
it just rips her whole head open.
Yeah.
And it's just such a brutal death scene to watch. That was probably one of the ones that stood out the most to me
Yeah.
from the Saw films.
I think it's the most iconic, probably, from that series.
Probably the least brutal, but one that really sticks out in my mind is from the first Halloween movie.
Mhm.
And it's when Michael Myers pins that guy. Is it a guy or a girl? I think it's a guy. Pins that guy into the wall with the knife,
Mhm.
and he's just hanging there.
Yeah.
And he just sits there looking at him for a second, kind of cocks his head
Oh,
sideways as
yeah.
he just takes in what he had just done.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's just, I love that
Oh, yeah.
creepiness to it and everything.
Yeah.
You said you ended on 3 with the Saws? Did you watch 3 or did you just...
I watched the third one.
You did watch the third?
Yeah.
One of the things that kills me, or I can't stand with people getting hurt, seeing people get hurt, and anytime I see a video, and my father-in-law exploits this, and he'll send me videos of watching people get injured just because he knows it bothers me. And it's anytime someone's limbs get bent in ways that they shouldn't.
Oh,
Oh, is this the one where the things...
In the
they
third one, that
twist?
guy is in the machine
Yeah.
and it twists each one of his limbs all the way around, and they snap and compound fractures. The bones are sticking out.
Yeah.
The arms and the legs.
Oh,
It is
yeah, that one is pretty bad.
awful.
Mm.
Going back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because I didn't talk much about that.
Mhm.
From the classic one of the greatest scenes I think is when Leatherface makes one of his first real appearances to the people who are there.
Mhm.
When he throws open the door, the sliding metal door, and just cracks the guy in the head with a hammer. His
Yeah.
body drops like lead weight and just starts twitching on the floor. And I
Mhm.
thought that was there's not really any music going on. It is that, and it's just so
Just kinda
visceral,
happens,
and it
yeah.
seems real. It seems so real, like how hard he hits the floor and that bouncing. And then from the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, where he takes the guy after he sawed off one of his legs, hangs him on a meat hook, and then he gets salt and just grabs this stub and just rubs it on this stub. It's
That's
awful.
painful.
It was
Oh,
terrible. The remake is so much gorier and nasty than the original.
Seems to be the route they kind of take. So
Like the Rob Zombie Halloweens.
I don't know that I've watched a remake of really any slasher films. Is any of them worth watching?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
I don't believe I've watched it yet.
No, that one's not too great. It wasn't bad. A lot of people really hated it. I didn't hate it so much, but definitely Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm.
The 2003, 2004 remake of that,
Yeah.
great. It is so good. Like I said, but it is gory.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't usually like gore, but maybe it's something to do with the fact that it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if something you like initially, you're willing to give it that shot.
Yeah.
So.
I do have to say that slasher films in general are probably not my favorite genre of scary movie.
Oh, no.
They're
So,
good. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of kills that I remember because I'm usually like grossed out by like ridiculously gory things.
What's kind of, I mean, I think what's kind of cool about those, and even though they're kind of on the bottom of my list as well, it seems like they're the ones that people tend to know.
Mhm.
Like, people our age, maybe a little older, like, actually saw these movies coming out, and so everybody's heard of Jason, everybody's heard of Freddy. So, I mean...
It's like a big 80s, early 90s thing.
Yeah.
As the slasher, you know, that's those...
And it's sort of making a comeback,
Yeah.
so...
A hatchet.
Yeah.
Hatchet. Those are
Oh,
that has a good kill scene.
Oh.
That's a great kill scene on Hatchet where he, have you seen it?
Mm.
No.
Guess I haven't seen it. Oh man, I don't want to spoil this kill scene. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Go for it.
he grabs this person, I can't remember if it's a guy or girl, like by the mouth like this,
Mhm.
and then just rips them like in half. Like it just splits their face.
Wow.
Kind of like King
Wow.
Kong for like
Yeah.
into the thing, and I think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what he does. He just rips them out, and they show like all the, and the way the camera like pans around and like this 360 view as it's happening. I thought it like really sticks out in my mind. It's pretty cool. And the last one I'm gonna throw out here is from Jason, just because this guy is showing off. He's walking on his hands, and then all of a sudden he sees Jason's feet, and then here comes a machete straight through his legs.
Oh.
He's on his head.
That's rough.
So what you're getting at is don't get cocky.
Don't get cocky.